Good evening, ladies and gentlemen from across the province joining us online via Facebook Live. Thank you for all attending. My name is Tom Williamson and I am the moderator for tonight's Meet the Candidates Forum. This event is the third of 4 events being held via Zoom and streamed to the public via Facebook Live. Last night we heard from candidates in Conception Bay East Bell Island District and the Topsail Paradise District. Tonight at 6:30 we are hearing from the candidates from the electoral district of Conception Bay South, and at 8:45 we will hear from the candidates from Harbour Main District. Each form will have sign language interpretation. Each form will also be recorded and will be available to be viewed after the event. Our democracy and democratic institutions are not to be taken for granted, and the right to hold free and fair elections is among our most valuable rights. This provincial election in Newfoundland and Labrador is being held during a pandemic and during winter. That can create special challenges for candidates and voters to communicate with one another and the 3 sponsors of this event. The Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club of Avalon Northeast, and Manuels River are very pleased to be able to provide this safe opportunity for candidates to communicate directly with the voters of these 4 districts and to help the voters get information they need as they decide who to vote for in their district. So a quick thanks to each of the candidates who have agreed to participate in this special Meet the Candidates Forum. They're joining me virtually on Zoom while all of you watch on Facebook Live. Let me first introduce you to the candidates in alphabetical order. We have Mr. Warwick Butler from the Alliance Party of Newfoundland and Labrador, Ms. Shelley Moores from the Liberal Party of Newfoundland and Labrador, and Mr. Barry Petton from the PC Party of Newfoundland and Labrador. Unfortunately, Andrew Lovell of the NDP was unable to be with us this evening. So before I explain the rules for tonight's event, I want to invite the representatives of the sponsors of this event to say a few words. First, I'd like to ask Janet Rumsey, the Executive Director of Manuels River, to welcome everyone on behalf of our organization.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Janet Rumsey, and as shared, I'm the Executive Director here at Manuels River. So Manuels River is a world-class, nature-based tourism attraction in the town of Conception Bay South. It's the place to discover the river, the local wildlife, and our beautiful trail system and new experiences. Manuels River is staffed year-round, and we are a center for discovery, offering exhibits that describe the culture, geology, paleontology, and ecology of the river valley, complemented by a theater and teaching facilities. Our gift shop, cafe, and multi-purpose meeting facilities are here to make the center an important community gathering place. We offer educational and public programs for all ages, as well as community events. All events are available, and you can check them all out on our website, which is www.manuelsriver.ca. We are a registered charity, and we offer memberships to our organization. We are very proud to co-sponsor the candidate event as a service to our community this evening. I want to thank everybody who's taking part, as well as those who are joining us this evening.
Thank you, Janet. I'd also like to ask Don Sword, a Rotary member, to say a few words on behalf of his organization. Just need to unmute yourself there, Don.
Okay. All right. Yes, thanks, Tom. My name is Don Sword, as you said, and this event is proudly co-sponsored by the Rotary Club of Avalon Northeast, which is part of Rotary International, a worldwide service organization founded in 1905. Rotary's motto is service above self, and our club has been proudly serving the CBS and Paradise area for over 30 years. There are over 30 women and men in our Rotary group, and while we've been involved in dozens of service projects, we have been internationally recognized for 3 major projects: the Topsail Beach Rotary Park, the Rotary Paradise Youth and Community Center, and the building, the Manuels River Hibernian Interpretation Center, where our club holds its in-person meetings. Despite the pandemic, our Rotary group has been able to adapt and has continued to meet regularly via Zoom and in person where possible, to support causes like the food bank and the CBS community gardens, and to add new members. So if you're interested in helping to serve others in an atmosphere of fun and fellowship, you should consider joining the Rotary Club of Avalon Northeast. Thanks.
Thank you, Don. So as I'm a director with the Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, I'll provide a few words about the Chamber. So first and foremost, I'd like to say on behalf of the Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce that we're delighted to help sponsor this event series. For nearly 40 years, our chamber has been vocal in strengthening business development, marketing, and professional development opportunities, as well as influencing policy decisions and advocating on behalf of members. We've been active as ever through this pandemic and quick in connecting entrepreneurs and managers with program supports and information. Chambers are a powerful resource and you should have working for your business if you aren't already a member. Please reach out to our executive director, Heather Howard, to learn how we can support you. Heather has been working hard behind the scenes, and we hope this allows you to learn more about the candidates and their platforms. You can also join our Chamber Atlantic Impressions initiative to give us and government insight into driving better outcomes for your business. We encourage all candidates to get out and talk to entrepreneurs and hear their struggles and work collaboratively through economic recovery. Chambers work closely with elected officials, and while it's not the in-person event we would like to be hosting, we'll get back to those soon. So thanks to all those watching and to the candidates for putting forward their names to represent their districts. Stay connected with our chamber, and we wish the best of luck to all candidates. So now for the rules for tonight's event. Tonight's Meet the Candidates Forum is not a debate. There will be no heckling, crosstalk, or formal rebuttals. We will ask each candidate to be muted while I or other candidates speak. The format of tonight's forum and the content of the questions were set by the three sponsor organizations without any input from candidates or political parties. The candidates were all advised of the sponsor's choice of format, and each candidate was provided with the questions in advance. There will be a 5-minute opening statement by each candidate, followed by 2 minutes to answer each of the 3 questions on specific issues. The forum will end with 3 minutes to provide a closing statement. The order of the opening statements was determined by a draw held before the Facebook Live event began. I will rotate the order of the speaking after that. I will also be the timekeeper, and I will hold candidates to their time limits within reason. In my discretion, I may allow a candidate to end a sentence or thought rather than cutting them off unreasonably. I will hold up my hand during the final 30 seconds to let the speakers know that their time is almost up. Before the candidates begin with some opening statements, I want to thank each of the candidates for attending, and most importantly, thank them for putting their names forward to serve you, the voters, in this election. So let's get started. You each have 5 minutes for your opening statement. You may speak on any topic you wish, but this is intended to be an opportunity to introduce yourself, your party, and your leader, and to explain what you see as the key issues and challenges facing our province and your district, and to begin to answer the question, why should I vote for you and your party? At the draw previously held, it was determined that Mr. Butler will speak first, Ms. Moores will speak second, and Mr. Petton will speak last in the opening statement. Mr. Butler, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Thank you. First off, I would like to thank the Rotary Club, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Manuels River for inviting me tonight to give me the opportunity to speak to your members as well as the residents of CBS. Oh, sorry, I lost my speech already. All right. I would also like to say good luck to the candidates. My name is Warwick Butler. I was born and raised as well as lived and played in CBS all my life. I've been married to my wife, Allison, for 25 years. I'm a business owner of a company called Butler's Quality Contracting that is helping build our community one home at a time for the last 16 years. I was president of the Home Builders Association in 2015, as well as served on numerous provincial and national committees. I'm currently the second chair of the Newfoundland and Labrador Construction Safety Association. I contribute to my community by sponsoring sport teams such as hockey and softball. I've donated labor to the All Saints Anglican Church in Foxtrap to remedy leaks that was forced the church to close its doors. I've also donated labor and materials to construct dugouts at the softball field at Villanova. I choose to live my life in CBS because it's what I know. It's where my family is and it's where my heart is. And I'd like nothing better than to see our community thrive. In the early 90s, I watched most of my friends move away for work and for a better life. Unfortunately, it's happening again. As I watch my nieces and nephews move away, combined with my friends, I realize that change is needed. This is why I've decided to run as the NL Alliance candidate. How did our province get to this point? With all that our province has to offer, with all the resources we have, how are we in this financial position we are today? I voted for all the parties over the years. I've listened to what they had to say to offer for my future, but still here we are again. Another election and a little worse off than we were the last time. So I asked myself why? Why are things not improving? The answer always leads me back to the way the government is structured, meaning the party system. Not necessarily the MHAs. I feel MHAs, when first elected, go in with the best of intentions, but lose sight of or the ability to represent their districts. For example, call an election during a pandemic, in the dead of winter, no budget, no green report. Is this something that our MHAs were in favor of? I don't think so. And if so, it wasn't in the best interest of our province. A poll showed that 70% of respondents agreed that an election should not go ahead at this time, but yet here we are. I believe if we had 40 independent MHAs over the years, we could have avoided some of these issues, some of the decisions that brought us to where we are today. You have to ask yourself one question. Are you satisfied where you are as a province? And if the answer is no, a vote for the NL Alliance and an independent will start the change we need to secure our future. We can't keep voting for the parties and hope things that will be different. For these parties, the broken structure is repeated each time we vote them in. The broken policies and routines of the past are so embedded in these parties that there is an unwillingness to change. We are running out of time, and that's why I stepped forward to give like-minded people like myself another option, a better option. We need to start to change with a fresh look through eyes of people who are not politicians, but people like me, someone who just want to be able to make a living in their own town. And as I hope it will start by you electing me as your representative. I'm all in. We need to support the good ideas no matter what party brings them up, and we need to turn them down if we're not in favor. This is what the NL Alliance is committed to. It is as simple as that. We are facing a huge financial problem. There is no doubt in my mind that due to bad decisions versus bad circumstances, a waste problem versus spending problem, if elected, I would work to make these changes that are needed so our province can be prosperous, which in return will make our communities prosperous. I will work side by side with all MHAs and parties to find ways to be more efficient and productive. I will advocate for $15 minimum wage. I will also advocate for the review of all government departments, agencies, corporations to find savings. And I'm not proposing layoffs. I don't think that's the way out. We need people working to get us out of this. We need to look at the healthcare system to find ways to do things differently, like more preventative medicine. Find ways to retain our doctors and nurses. Find better ways to roll out the services we offer better. And again, I'm not proposing cuts, but we need to find ways to be more efficient. We also need to invest more in the areas like tourism, the arts, agriculture, education, streamline focus on tech sectors, and programs that will generate revenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Ms. Morris, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to speak virtually to the residents of Conception Bay South, and good luck to Mr. Petton and Mr. Butler. I'm Shelley Morris. I've been living in CBS for over 14 years with my husband and our 3 children. I decided to stay home with our kids while my husband worked in the offshore oil industry. But in recent years, I returned to the workforce with the Healthcare Foundation, fundraising for local hospitals and healthcare centers in St. John's and surrounding areas. I believe being involved in the community and making a difference is very important. I volunteered on multiple school councils, and I was the advocate to get traffic lights put at all the crosswalks in school districts. I've chaired the Manuels River, Give Run the River since its inception, and we've raised funds to expand, maintain, and make it accessible to everyone in Conception Bay South. I sat on the host committee for the Newfoundland Labrador Summer Games held in CBS and fundraised the money to get the games here. I'm actively involved in the CBS Soccer Association as a previous board member, coach, and now most recently, team manager. I'm a very determined and hardworking person and will do my best to help the community of Conception Bay South. My conversations on the campaign trail, meetings with individuals, and phone calls, I've heard various issues from seniors, farmers, youth, brownies who have told me that we need to stop bullying and we need to have more girl power. I'm proud to be on the Liberal team under the leadership of Dr. Andrew Fury, who decided to pause his medical career to give back to our province. His leadership and sacrifice have encouraged me to step up for my community and put my name forward to be the MHA for Conception Bay South. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Petton, you can go ahead now and unmute yourself and you may begin.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the pleasure to be here tonight. It's an important part of our democracy. We go around knocking doors and campaign and sending literature out and putting up signs and what have you and advertising, but it's important to do it in this form too, because a lot of people don't get that opportunity to see us up close and personal. So this is very important, and I thank you all. I want to wish Warwick and Shelley all the best of luck. Not tough luck, of course, but it is politics, but I wish you well, and I sincerely mean that. I mean, to people who don't know me, I mean, a lot of people do, of course. I've been, since 2015, I've been elected, but I mean, I lived in CBS all my life. I'm married with 2 daughters who are adults now, grown, and we raised them here in CBS. Of course, we still call it home. And it's, when I first got elected, I remember thinking, you know, it's CBS is part of you, it's in your, I suppose, in our DNA. It's and to be the member representing Conception Bay South, I never dreamed that I'd ever take that job. And I remember when the former MHA resigned or retired, sorry, the people come to me and ask me who's going to run, and I start laughing. I couldn't believe it. I laughed, and then my wife, when I told my wife, she never really laughed. It was a different response, of course, but it took me a bit of time to process it. So it's been a pleasure, and I say that in all sincerity. It's you know, when you do a job that you're taking, everything you do when you get up to date, you go to work in the daytime, it's to make your own community better. It's to improve a place you live. And that's pretty neat. That's a pretty neat job. I mean, most of us can't say that when we go to work. We're doing it for someone else, or we're probably helping. I mean, their jobs are rewarding. But when you go to work every day, everything you do is for helping a person in your community with a situation. You're helping an issue. You're fixing a pothole, which is something that I was well known for. That's very rewarding. And it's something that, you know, I don't take lightly. I've never taken this job lightly. It's something that I take very seriously. And I think whenever you get in politics and the time comes that you start taking it for granted and you take it lightly, maybe that's the time to leave. And I have lots of energy left. I've enjoyed my time there, and of course, I'm obviously out in full tilt on the campaign trail, and I want to keep that. I want to keep that job, and I feel I've been very community oriented over my career and over my lifetime at CBS actually, and it's a place I love dearly, and it's you know, it's a pride thing sometimes, and I know the other candidates we all feel the same way. It's where you live, and it's and everything you do, you want to do it to make the place better. But, you know, CBS has become, over the years, outside of the place I was always proud to live in. We've got a lot of issues, and we deal with a lot of, you know, as our crime rates increase, and evidence that recently we have our new own RNC detachment as a result of the demand was there for that. It's, you know, it's reality of a growing town. We get bigger and that, but I was glad to, you know, that was something I played a role in. It was something that the residents told me they needed, and they demanded really, because I mean, people were getting scared living in our community, which is unfortunate, but that's the reality of the town. You know, town as growth, that comes with growing pains. Infrastructure needs, a lot of that was being addressed, but now I think we're to the point now we need services. Like I think I wrote my brochure, if people may have seen or not. We have a critical family doctor shortage in CBS. I believe we need to improve our access to services. I mean, I've also, public transit is a huge issue in CBS. We're close enough to St. John's, we don't get nothing, but we're far enough away, we can't get to what we got to get in St. John's. And that's a problem I hear every day, pretty much on a regular basis. People, low income seniors, having trouble getting to the medical appointments, having trouble getting to St. John's. That's where it's all to. So those are, you know, there's many other items that I think that we need. We need more things for families. I mean, the community park that we announced there recently was a great addition, but I mean, there's other things, but based on the certain current financial climate, we got to be careful what we, you know, right now it's probably not the time, but I think a community center is well within our needs and within our reach. It may take a few years, but all those things and many more things are, you know, are possible for us. But, you know, I just want to continue on. And, you know, one thing I always say, I mean, I respond to people, I listen to people, and actually I genuinely care what they got to say. I can't solve all the problems. I've never professed it. I've never made any unnecessary promises. But I've always been willing to respond to the call, respond to the email, and listen to what the concerns are, and do my best to resolve them. And for the most part, people appreciate that, and I appreciate that. If I was on the other side, that's all I'd expect from anyone else. So I continue. That's my pledge. I'll continue on to do that. I look forward to the questions coming up in the next phase, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Mr. Pettin. So now we'll move on to the 3 questions. So what I will do is I'll read the question, and I will let each speaker know when it is their turn to respond. So you'll each have 2 minutes to respond to each individual question. The first speaker will be Ms. Moores. So I will read the question, and then you can go ahead and unmute yourself. So how will you, as the MHA for your district and a representative of your political party, work with your local municipal government, local businesses, and community groups to grow the local economy and improve the communities within your district? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. As a resident of Conception Bay South, I've had the opportunity and pleasure to work with many local businesses, community groups, and municipal representatives. As MHA for the District of Conception Bay South, I will continue to work closely with all stakeholders to build on what we have started and to bring our community to new heights in many different areas. I'm very proud and grateful for the things that I've done in the community and look forward to working to build a better community together. Tourism and recreation are priorities for me. The development of our tourism industry will in turn benefit our small businesses and recreational programs. I support the development and growth in our community, and I will work with the residents to ensure it has a positive impact on our community and environment. As your MHA, I will utilize my position in government to bring these priorities to the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pettin, you would be next. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Improved economic outlook in the province to our district, I think it's going to have to be a concerted effort by all parties involved and all levels of government, and everyone working in silos needs to stop. I think we all need to sit down and take this seriously. I do think this is not the time for cuts. I do believe that we need to get our economy going, and that's part of our platform is the jobs. And jobs, basically, when we say jobs, not just a word, it's meant to be spurred, get our economy going. You can't cut. You can't shock your economy. You can't just go cutting while right now the economy is at a very fragile state. So it's about re-energizing our economy, getting people back to work, getting the economy moving. Then you can do it's kind of going to be a balancing effect. You're not going to be able to go all one, all the other. I think there has to be more of a balance effect. What I'm hearing through the Green Report and the public are concerned about is that there's privatization, there's possible cuts, and really, it's realistically, no one really knows. It's kind of the boogeyman. And contrary to what the Premier may say about there's nothing to be concerned about, I'm hearing that doors constantly, people are concerned about it. And, you know, not many people people don't like to go to the polls, and trust me, there's nothing in it. You know, I mean, we've been down that road many times, and I believe the fear that everybody, me included, I'm a resident outside the, represent as being an MHA. I'm also a resident of this province, and I have concerns. I have young girls that are trying to start out in life. And I'm concerned about that. And I think that that's what we need to do. We want to talk about economic growth in our town. I think it starts with the province, and it all trickles around. We got to get our economy going. We got to get people back to work. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Butler, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. For me to help our local business and community groups, I will first have to sit with them and find out what their needs and concerns are. I am willing to sit with these groups and find out, or even set up a working group with key individuals to find ways to address the issues that they are facing. With that said, I can speak from my own experience as a business owner in our community. I will work to remove the red tape that so many of us find in our own businesses. I would work to reduce the mass amount of fees and taxes imposed on them. We need to develop programs that will generate jobs and revenues that in turn will generate taxes for the government. Revenue that will offset some of the taxes and fees that we pay as business owners. An example of a good government program is the 25% rebate renovation rolled out during COVID. Government invested $30 million that homeowners availed very quickly, and it was generated into $120 million of spending. That in return created tax revenue for a government that they would not have otherwise collected. These programs will also ensure that businesses are operating and competing above board and playing by the same rules. As for our community groups, we need to give them the tools to help them to be successful so they can help the people of our community. We need to develop programs and provide assistance so they can have the resources to do the much needed work to be successful. Community groups and volunteers are the heartbeat of our community, and the growth of our community depends on the work that they do. I will be with them to define the needs of our community and to determine the path to go there, so we don't have to continue to watch our loved ones leave the province. Thanks.
Thank you. So we'll be moving on to question 2. Mr. Pettin will be speaking first, and I'll go ahead and read the question. So what do you believe are the biggest issues and challenges for your district regarding the provincial health system and the COVID-19 pandemic, and how will you, as the MHA for your district and as a representative of your political party, work to address these issues and challenges? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Well, as we know, during this pandemic has been and terrible strain on all families. Everyone throughout everyone throughout the province, all businesses, individuals, mental health. I mean, mental health issues. This has been. I mean, you hear it. I hear it at the doors now. This is a heavy load on people. On top of that, during the pandemic, of course, we've had limited services. Recently, the hospitals have gotten up to scratch now. A lot of delayed surgeries, a lot of testing, and all was done in. I mean, it was managed as best we could, trying to get through this serious pandemic. But I believe that understanding people's fears and knowing what's out there, knowing how people feel. We still need to address some other concerns. I mean, point entry testing is something that I think needs to be done. Right now, our numbers are low and we're doing a great job. Thanks to Dr. Fitzgerald and the people in this province for following the COVID guidelines. I mean, I think we all need to tip our hat to Dr. Fitzgerald and their team for the work they've done. But there is a lot of concern out there. There's still a lot of fear. I mean, you see it. I mean, people are still really nervous. They don't want to leave their homes. So we need to, my common theme a lot of times is find a balance, because I don't think you can go all one way or all the other. I think we need to improve upon our health services, because right now we're almost back to where we need to be, but still we're way beyond, because when you stop your health, I mean, basically you shut down your hospitals, all non-urgent stuff for several months, you got a backlog, and now you're catching up with new cases. So, we got to improve upon the health outcomes. We got to get, things back up scratch that way. But we also got to get this pandemic under control before we can really move in a meaningful way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Butler, you are next. Please unmute yourself.
Healthcare is the $1 million question, or should I say the $1 billion question. As mentioned in my opening, we need to find better ways to roll out our healthcare services. I feel the need to concentrate more on preventative medicine, healthy living, makes it easier to be more cost effective to eat better. People need to be able to afford to eat healthy. They need to make it possible. We need to address our doctor shortages. We need to educate we educate our doctors in our own province. We need to find ways to keep them here. How can we, as Newfoundland and Labrador, our province, to entice our doctors to stay and want to stay here? Is it to provide our doctors with research grants, prevention medicine, or healthy living programs, make them be part of the changes that create a healthy province, ultimately reducing the current overwhelming healthcare system that is draining our doctors? Also, the big topic lately is the shortage of ambulance services and the overworked and stressed EMTs. We need to find ways to improve this. My understanding, part of the problem is when the ambulance arrives at the hospital, they had to stay there with their patients till they find a bed for them. Why can't we have an area in the hospital with extra beds so the ambulance can get back on the road? This could be the difference between life and death. All because the ambulance is sitting idle for no reason. Also, COVID has shown us that there's other ways that we can deliver healthcare. Let's take the learnings from this and build on it. Okay. Go ahead. Not enough time.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Ms. Morris, you can unmute yourself and you can go ahead.
Thank you. Our local government has done an incredible job of keeping us safe during the global pandemic. We have successfully reopened our economy while also allowing our kids to safely return to school. As MHA for the District of Conception Bay South, I would work with the provincial government to ensure the medical needs of the people in CBS are met. Access to family doctors and other medical services in our community have long been an issue, as it is for many places in our province. I want to sit at the table with a leader who understands and has the experience to make healthcare services more available throughout the province. I'm a huge believer in the importance of health and physical fitness, and I'm happy that the Liberal government has committed to prioritizing health and physical fitness. With so many recreational offerings in Conception Bay South, I know that our community will benefit greatly from this initiative. In talking with many residents in the community, I'm aware of the issues around mental health awareness, long-term care, community care, and making health services more easily accessible to our seniors and the issues facing our aging population. I am familiar with the issues facing families of rotational workers, and I recognize how difficult the pandemic has been on these families. I have been in this situation as my husband has been a rotational worker, and I understand your concerns and want to work with you to make it easier on everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. So the third question, tourism helps to preserve our cultural and natural assets and adds a tremendous value to the provincial and local economy. Unfortunately, COVID-19 has decimated the tourism industry in Newfoundland and Labrador, including your district, causing rising unemployment levels, business closures, and continued financial strain to tourism businesses and the people that those businesses employ. What will you and your party do to support the tourism sector in the province and in your district to ensure its survival, recovery, and growth? You'll have 2 minutes, and Ms. Moores, you are the first speaker.
Okay, thank you. There's no doubt that the tourism industry is struggling throughout the world as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Locally, we need to do what we can to support our tourism operators. As MHA, I will work collaboratively with tourism operators in Conception Bay South to discuss ways to revitalize the tourism activities in our community. I was pleased that the Liberal government placed such an importance on tourism with the $25 million Tourism and Hospitality Support Program and the Stay at Home Year 2020 initiative. And I'm happy that we have something to look forward to in the upcoming 2022 Come Home Year. In the meantime, the Premier has established a Tourism Advisory Council to make sure that our government is hand in hand with the tourism operators throughout the province during this difficult time. I've spoken to many people and I've listened to their ideas and views on how we can make a difference and improve this industry. And I look forward to representing them as the MHA for Conception Bay South. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Butler, you are next.
If anything COVID has taught us is that we need to find ways to adjust and adapt to new ways to survive in our businesses. It's about resilience. First of all, we need to invest more into tourism in the province. We need our MHAs to push government to highlight all the beauty that we have to offer as a community. We have some of the most beautiful coastlines and ports in the world, as well as Manuels River, a beautiful historical site. We need to shout these things out loud. We need our government to implement programs and assistance for our business in the short term to ensure that our business can survive until we return to some normal. COVID is not going to last forever, so we need to be ready, whatever that looks like. Maybe we need to supply our resources to our tourism-based business to be able to sell their products virtually. We need to continue to invest in our infrastructure and recreation so we can attract people to come. I struggled a bit with this question, so I reached out to some of my colleagues and we talked about things like virtual tourism as an idea. Everyone all over the world is essentially locked down, and even if they weren't locked down, they can't afford to travel. What about combining the tech and the tourism industry? There's definitely a business model for that. It brings together the tourism industry with the evolving tech industry. We need to build a platform with a low-cost subscription that features our community so we can tour right from the comfort of our home. Money can certainly be made in the world of tourism, even without visiting. It could be a welcome distraction for people who are stuck at home, just thinking outside the box. Thanks.
Thank you. And Mr. Pettin, you can go ahead and unmute yourself now.
Thank you. Yeah, tourism. Well, first of all, I spent the pleasure actually working 4 years in the Department of Tourism before getting elected to office. And along the way, it's a pretty interesting, tourism is a pretty interesting initiative in our province. There's a lot to learn about, and it's a pretty interesting industry. They struggle during the shoulder season. They struggle during the winter season. Unless you're into winter tourism, it's an industry that needs a lot of support, but it's a very important industry. And back in 2003, I guess 2004, the Find Yourself campaign was started by the former PC administration. Is regarded as one of the most successful advertising campaigns in the world. And all the beautiful ads we all talk about are a testament to that. And locally, to support your tourism industry during this pandemic, it was not about growth, it's about sustainability. So right now we need to support our tourism of all business around they need help. We recognize that as a party. But tourism industry itself, they need special help, because if anything got hurt by this COVID pandemic, it's tourism. No one is traveling. That's the bread and butter tourism industry at a province travel. We were touching almost well over $1 billion, pushing $2 billion a year industry, and the pandemic has really caused havoc. So on a local scene, we have a beautiful town. We have a lot to offer. We need all our tourism operators in town. We're going to grow them, but we need to maintain what we have to support them through this terrible time. And when we get through this, there's nothing to grow if you haven't got nothing left. So my argument is we got to keep them at bay, support them, and when everything settles back, we got to work on growing them and supporting the existing ones, building the new ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pettin, and thank you all. So now we'll move on to the closing statements. So you will each have 3 minutes for your closing statement. You may speak on any topic you like, but you should try to provide the answer to the question, why should I vote for you and your party? The order for the closing statements will be Mr. Pettin, Ms. Moores, and Mr. Butler. Mr. Pettin, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and begin.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my closing remark will probably be my remark that I've always used. This is me. I mean, I've always been the boots on the ground type of guy. I'm not full of frills. I don't look for the evening news every day. I do a lot of things to help a lot of people, and I don't look for thanks. I don't look for any platitudes. I take great pride in what I do as a member of the House of Assembly, and I think you can go around this town and talk to a lot of people, and you'll never know their story. And there's something that I met a lady yesterday, and it goes back to my first, before I ever got elected, and it was a very special story. And I don't have to share it now, but it drives you. That's what, everyone got the motivator, what drives them. That's what drives me. It's not about the fame and fortune. None of that. It's all about, to me, is what I can do to help my community. And that's not cliche. That's very sincere response. I always say, I can give you a list of issues, the priorities I have, and it may look all great and fine, but my issues have always been the residents' issues. They elected me. I work for the residents. They got concerns. I can change my agenda in the day. It depends. And I use the RNC detachment because in 2015, when I knocked doors, I never even had it remotely in my mind. When the election ended, I realized, and I was successful in the election, of course, that was one of my #1 priorities. And so that's the way this is. Politics to me is about the people. And I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I think we have good plan, and our platform is a good plans. And I want to continue on. And I've enjoyed my time here, and I think I've delivered. And I think people, I've been approachable, responds to every email and every phone call, and that's who I am. And I can't be more simple and straightforward than that. And I respectfully, on February 13th, I do hope that the residents of CBS will support me in the upcoming election. And I wish my other the other candidates, my competitors, all the best. And thank you very much for this opportunity tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Pettin. Ms. Moores, you're next. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. So I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity tonight, and good luck to Mr. Pettin and Mr. Butler. As a proud resident of the town of Conception Bay South and a young mother of 3, I've embraced a diverse range of leadership and volunteer opportunities to strengthen our community. From volunteering on school councils to helping bring the Newfoundland and Labrador Summer Games to Conception Bay South, I've approached every opportunity with innovation and energy with proven results. As a dedicated leader, advocate, and community builder, I hope to take the lessons learned through my career and life and apply them as your MHA under the leadership of Dr. Andrew Feary. This is a critical time for our province, and now more than ever, we need people who are serious about making change with a commitment to hard work and a focus on the future. I'm very excited to rise to the challenge and have the opportunity to represent the people of Conception Bay South. I'm Shelley Moores, and I respectfully ask for your support on February 13th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Butler, you can go ahead and unmute yourself now.
If I could choose one thing for you to take away, I would make you think about political reform, because without it, we'll be back here with different issues, but the same problems. As the NL Alliance was formed because like-minded people realized that our political system is flawed. Let's not forget that before COVID, we were on the brink of not making payroll. So you can't blame COVID. COVID just emphasized the economic resilience that was not put in place for our current government, putting us further and further in debt. We need to have our say in decisions the way the province is ran. We need to start the process so we can have equal representation. That's not going to happen until we start to change. We need to be able to hold them accountable for the decisions they make for the future of our province. They need to represent us as instead of their parties. A vote for me and the NL Alliance will ensure you that you will have an MHA that represents you and our community without having to toe party lines. Imagine sometime in the future, our government had 40 independent MHAs. 40 of the MHAs would pick our premier. Then the premier would pick his cabinet from the 40 MHAs. Now we'd have a premier picked from the best, a cabinet picked from the best, and the best is left, everybody gets a vote. Everyone gets a vote to represent their district. 40 people working together for the benefit of everyone. It's not only possible, it works. None of it has this form of government since 1999, and over 400 sittings in the House, the Speaker has never had to mention a member and eject him or her of the House of Assembly. Can you believe that? Mutual respect, healthy debates, important issues, everyone getting along because it's about the province and not the pre-established political lines. We just need to start to change. People need to realize that NL Alliance and its members are not some kind of radical group formed to take down the government. We're formed because we see the flaws in the current government structure, and no one inside the government is willing to make those changes. Oh, and if the parties tell you that there is a political reform committee, ask them how much traction it has made since it's been formed. There's no incentive for these parties to gain the traction for political reform because it would only take away the advantages of the parties. You only have to ask yourself one question. Would your candidate, when push comes to shove, would your candidate support you and your community or your party? We need to send a message to our representatives that we deserve better. I'm tired of all the lip service and broken promises. It's time for action. Again, thanks again for giving me the opportunity to speak, and I hope I can count on your support. Vote for change, vote Warwick Butler. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butler, and thank you all. So that ends tonight's forum. Again, on behalf of the three sponsor organizations, the Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club of Avalon Northeast, and Manuels River, I would like to thank everyone for watching and thank this evening's sign language interpreters, and of course, a special thank you to the candidates for participating in tonight's event. This event has been recorded and will be available for viewing via the sponsors' Facebook pages. Let me remind you that later tonight at 8:45, we will also be holding a similar event on Facebook Live for the candidates in the Harbor Main District. Each form will be recorded and will be available for viewing after the event. That's all for this evening. I'm Tom Williamson from the Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce saying on behalf of the Chamber, Rotary, and Manuels River, thank you and good evening.